Hey, get your hands off that.
I was just moving it. I wasn't gonna drink it.
You bet your little booty you wasn't. You want a beer, you get your own beer. What's this?
Monopoly.
No, this.
245s and a Mac 10.
It's his Total Macho trip, Dad. Just ignore it.
Where'd they come from?
Captain Ron traded the grills for him.
Yeah, I thought we ought to have them, boss, because, you know, we're getting into pirate waters here pretty quick.
What pirates?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Been to Disney World one too many times, have we, Captain Ron?
It's true, Dad. They come up on you on high-speed boats.
You know, I don't believe I've ever been to Disney World.
Oh, really?
I've been to Hollywood.
Hello, hello. I'm Katie, and welcome to RetroMade, your pop culture rewind. Today, we're going to travel back to September 1992 for the adventure comedy CaptainRon. And as always, we will touch on all of the other happenings of the time in the time capsule. I am so happy to be joined by my lovely friend, Shannon Skalka, today. Shannon, a true product of the 80s with her members-only jacket to prove it, is one of my best boozy brunching buddies. But she decided to move away last year, so I'm thrilled to welcome her on RetroMade from afar. Shannon, thank you for joining me today.
Yes, hello, Katie. Thank you for having me. Very excited to dive back into 92.
Well, let's get right into it by opening the time capsule from September of 1992. There's some pretty good TV. So this is the season 92 to 93. And so for Nielsen rating, the top shows, number one, I feel like almost always, is Roseanne. Did you watch Roseanne, or do you still watch Roseanne?
Watched Roseanne. My parents would tape it, videotape it, and then mark on the tape, in pen on tape, Roseanne. Yeah. Created a whole library of Roseanne episodes.
It really is a good show. I still watch it, like to fall asleep to. Then we have Home Improvement, Murphy Brown, Murder, She Wrote, Coach, Cheers, of course. Yeah. Full House, TGIF, baby. Full House. And then the last one is Northern Exposure. Did you ever watch that? Or do you recall anything from it?
I recall it. Was it about like in Alaska and it was like a dramedy on CBS, right?
Oh, God, you remember the network even. I believe you're correct. And yes, It's a fictional town in Alaska, and it's John Corbett, apparently. I vaguely remember watching this, but don't really remember anything from it. But yeah, that's Northern Exposure.
My parents might have had it on, but it wasn't a show we watched.
A big one. Yeah. I probably was not in the top shows. Maybe this is its only season that it eked in the top 10. But then we have some really notable finales that weren't necessarily in the top shows. But this is the Golden Girls last season. It's one of my favorite shows ever.
It is, and I remember the final episode. Dorothy marries Blanche's uncle, which seemed odd to me that her uncle was still alive now that I was thinking about it. But yeah, I remember that episode.
And it was Leslie Nielsen. Who played him, right?
Yes, it was.
Did you watch Growing Pains? I feel like that epitomizes like my childhood to some degree.
Yeah, I can probably still sing the song. I loved Growing Pains. You know, we were more of like, you were mentioning Coach. That was a big one in our household. Murphy Brown, Monday nights, Murphy Brown. I could probably name every night that those shows were on because we set our schedule by the shows. It's so different now where you don't have to you don't have to be in front of your TV at 8:00 on Tuesday night to watch Roseanne. You know, you can stream it, whatever. So yeah, you would set your watch by what shows were on that evening.
Good memory. I don't think I could. I just have such a terrible memory. But that is a good point. Even now, I mean, my brain is mush anyway. But when I'm telling someone about a show or just at brunch or with whoever, we're like, oh, have you seen blah, blah, blah show? And they'll be like, what streamer is it on? And I'm like, I don't remember. Like, I can't even recall which show is on which streamer.
Yeah.
So this is not helping matters.
those were shows, there was like 4 networks. I mean, it was going to be ABC, CBS, NBC, or PBS. So it was one of those. You didn't have to say, oh, it's on Netflix, but it's also on Freevee, or if you have a Roku, you could probably catch it. Yeah. You either had the stations or you didn't. And if you didn't have them, you didn't have it.
And Fox comes into play around this time, which we'll get into a show that wasn't on very long. Also, oh my God, the Salute Your Shorts, it was their final year. Who's the Boss? Night Court, Cosby Show, all of those. MacGyver, all of those. This is their final year. So I feel like this is like turning from like the 80s into the 90s, even though this is 92. Like there's a clear shift in the type of show.
Yeah.
Also, The Young Riders. Did you ever watch that TV show?
The Young Riders?
It was like set in Old West.
No.
Yeah, it was cowboys. It was like the Pony Express. And there were some good-looking men. Josh Brolin was in it, as an example.
So kind of like a Young Gun spin-off, it sounds like.
Yeah. Very similar-esque to that, but yes. So, talking about kind of turning the ship from the 80s into the 90s, the shows that premiered this season. So Golden Girls ended, but Golden Palace began. Yes. I actually only watched that like pretty recently. It's not nearly as good as the Golden Girls.
I think it was only on its season 2, or like 1 or 2
Correct.
seasons. Yeah.
But it did have like Cheech Marin, and who was the hotel manager who's like really famous now, but at the time he wasn't. It's going to bother me. It is Don Cheadle.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Don Cheadle.
It's hard to think that he's like, he was that age that he could be in a show. I didn't realize he was up that far in years.
I mean, he was pretty young. He like was managing the hotel, but yeah, Don Cheadle, Golden Palace. Okay. Do you remember The Height?
Is that a Fox show?
It was a Yes, it was. And it lasted for less than a season. It was a musical drama. It only lasted for a partial season on Fox. And the theme to it went to #1 on the billboards by one of the cast members, Jamie Walters. How do you talk to an angel? Do you remember that?
Talk to an angel. Yes.
Yes. Well, that was from this TV show.
And Jamie Walters, wasn't he on 90210 as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yep, like in the later years. Yeah.
Yes.
And then The Real World started this year.
And that would have been Real World New York or LA? What was the very first one? New York?
Season one was New York, and that was like with the cast with Heather B. That was
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
So
wow,
that was like 30 years ago. That's crazy town. Picket Fences is another show that I like kind of have like vaguely. It premiered this year.
Remember that a little bit?
Remembers the show? I don't remember. So it's a David E. Kelley drama that I didn't recall that, or at the time, obviously, I didn't really care who directed or produced things, but it was with Tom Skerritt, Kathy Baker, Lauren Holly Marie Combs. I think it was another one of those dramas, probably on ABC.
I think it was CBS.
Okay, that's probably right. I can't believe you remember. You have such a good memory of that.
We had 4 stations that we could choose from because we were not lucky enough to have cable, to have a satellite dish. So you really had to open up your options if you wanted to be entertained
that evening. Yes, indeed. So do you remember California Dreams? It was basically like a lesser version of Saved by the Bell.
I can sing the opening song. Loved California Dreams. Sir,
you did?
Oh
my.
Laid back blues, sky of sand below. Good vibrations, feeling mellow. loved that show. It was a little bit more of a sophisticated
God.
Saved by the Bell. They were more world,
okay.
I think, the characters. It wasn't the bubblegum pop. I think that the problems were a bit more serious, more teen-oriented, where Saved by the Bell was geared toward 4-year-olds to 24-year-olds in college who are just waking up that morning. Yeah. So, but I loved California Dreams.
What about Melrose Place?
Melrose Place, yeah. I didn't get into Melrose Place until I was in college because we didn't have Fox.
Oh.
And I didn't get
Fox.
Fox
wasn't one of the...
No.
It didn't? Why? That's weird. I'm...
Rural Nebraska in 1992.
We had Fox. I watched all the Fox shows. So you didn't get to watch like Married with Children or anything then either?
Not until I was older. Or at my grandparents' house.
Okay.
Yeah. We could watch it. My grandparents had a satellite dish. And so we could watch it over there. So I do remember watching some episodes of Married with Children, but I don't think I really got into it too much.
Interesting. Okay. Melrose was like an ooh show. Like,
right.
That was appointment TV for sure. And then some of the other TV shows, this is very reminiscent of 90s now. Martin, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Mad About You. Like, yeah. So we have completely closed the door on the 80s and we're full on into the 90s now. Early 90s, which we'll get into now, the music of 92, the specific week of September 18th. That week, 1992. It's very early 90s. The number one song is It's the End of the Road.
Boyz II Men.
Boyz II Men. Apparently, it was from the movie Boomerang. I don't really recall it being from that movie, but Boyz II Men, boy, the early 90s were it for them.
Oh, yeah. They represented the early 90s. I think every song that they put out was platinum, #1 on the Billboard charts. Every Saturday, listen to Rick D's in the weekly top 40, and they would be on there.
That just opened a memory for me when we would drive, I don't know, like 2 hours away to wherever, like a relative's house for a holiday or whatever. On Sundays, if it was on a Sunday, Casey Kasem's show. Did you ever listen to that on the radio?
Time. Remember, people would write in, and they would be like these human interest stories, and he would get really serious. And when he was reading them, almost like the guy who did, and now you know the rest of the story. He would sign up, and then he'd jump right into, and now it's locomotion.
Locomotion. Yep. Do you have any? Great movie, by the way.
It's a really good movie. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to work that in somehow into a season. The number 2 song is also like, this album was everything. Baby, Baby, Baby by TLC.
My mom had that CD, and I would steal it any chance I got.
Your mom had that CD?
You know,
Your mother?
Yeah. My mom had good music. But I remember like the cover of that CD and everything. Baby,
yep, me too.
Baby. Yeah.
No, you're thinking of Amy Grant.
I'm thinking of Grant, but she did have TLC. Hum a few bars of Baby, Baby, Baby.
Baby, baby, baby.
More.
Baby, baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. TLC. Yes. Another great one.
Yeah.
The men and the women on the, battling for #1.
Oh my God. That's true. And there's so much like boy band, girl band at this time, or group, not necessarily, they weren't a band. The number 3 song is by Bobby Brown, Humpin' Around.
Not nearly the hit that I liked.
No.
I liked my prerogative. Yeah.
Me too. I did too. I liked Bobby Brown, but I wasn't like dying to get his albums or anything.
No.
I do not know the number 4 song. I even looked it up. Never heard of it. The song is called Stay. The artist is Shakespeare's Sister.
Do you know?
I
love that song. I love that song. I encourage you to watch the video because it is weird, but the song...
It's super weird. The ghostly white short-haired girl. Yeah, I watched it, but I didn't like it at all. Like, at all.
Growing up, I thought that the two women singing were the same woman, but now as an adult and seeing that video, I realized that it's two different women. Stay with me.
Yeah, really it's terrible. I hate it. I didn't like it. And I also don't recall it. At like zero memory of it at all.
I remember it. And I remember years ago, I was thinking about it. And it was like, God, what was the name of the group? And I kept typing in Twisted Sister, which is a totally different genre of music.
Very different. Very different. Yeah.
But luckily, TikTok brought me, a For Your page. And it was that song. I was like, this is the song that I loved when I was little. And I love that song, but the video is very different.
Strange. Mm-hmm. Number 5 on the Billboard Top 10 is it's probably in my top 10 of all time songs. November Rain by Guns N' Roses.
Another fantastic
The video for this is spectacular.
It's a work of art. It is a work of art.
It's like 12 minutes long.
Oh yeah. And Slash, that really set the stage for what type of man I was attracted to was Slash, when he's playing the guitar in a field and like the wind's blowing his shirt open. You can't see his face because his hair is covering it. He's got his top hat on.
You can never see his face.
Cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Oh, that was it for me.
Oh yeah. I liked both Axl and Slash. That video did it for me. Let me tell you what. I loved it.
When I look into your eyes, I can see a love restrained.
It was a story. It was like a movie. And Stephanie Seymour, was she the model in it or the bride?
Yes, she was. And she and Axl were like boyfriend, girlfriend at the time.
And I think I read somewhere. Yeah, they were. And I think I read somewhere that like life was imitating art for them at that time, that they were having problems, and they were shooting the video at the same time they were having these issues. And she might have tried to hurt herself around the same time as the video. I don't want anybody to attach any legitimacy to that statement. So I need to be liable.
Also, I wanted her dress. When I was little, I was like, well, when I grow up and get married, I want to wear a wedding dress like that. Like, they're super short in front.
Short. Yeah, and like a high-low. Like, she was the original.
Yeah, like the back was long. Yes.
The mullet dress.
She was beautiful, too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. He was very good looking as well. And then somebody got a hold of him and convinced him that 17 surgeries in 1 year on your face is a good idea. But poor guy. I think they were just in Denver performing. I think they were just in Denver too.
They were.
Yeah.
Yep. They were recently.
I wonder what that shows.
Patti Smith has the number 6 song with Sometimes Love Just Ain't Enough. What a lovely song that was.
I don't remember that song.
You do. You definitely do.
Is it a country song?
Yeah, I can't sing it. No, but it's like soft. It's soft. I don't know what genre I would put it in. The opposite of the next song, which is House of Pain's Jump Around.
Junior high dances.
That I remember liking. Yep, junior. Yep, for sure. I do not like this song or artist. The number 8 is Just Another Day by John Cicada or Cicada. I hated him. I never liked that genre of like, I didn't like Seal, John Cicada, like any of that kind of stuff. I didn't like it.
I don't either. And I don't know if I know the song, but if you're describing it correctly, then I'm not a fan either.
But Elton John has the number 9 song with The One, which is not a super recognizable, like you definitely know it. You definitely know it once you hear it, but it's not like I don't ever think of it when I'm thinking of Elton John songs. And then the number 10 song, we've covered this band before and I don't recall ever hearing of them. Have you heard of the band High Five? It's a boy group.
Maybe.
It's like a knockoff of Boys to Men. The song is called She's Playing Hard to Get, but it's basically like, a poor man's Boys to Men. And the video
Great value Boys to Men.
Yeah. The generic version. But the video's pretty awesome in that it encompasses 1992. Like the outfits, the style of video it is, everything about it is very 1992. So there's not really a lot of like interesting news or events from September of 92, but John Mellencamp got married to his third wife. He was 40, she was 23. She was a model. Her name's Elaine Irwin. And they got divorced in 2011. Yeah. What about it is surprising?
Well, that it didn't last.
Oh, you were being facetious. Well, it lasted a fair amount. I mean, more than like
when
a
did
year,
you say they got divorced?
And it was his third wife. 2011.
Oh, you're right. They were married for quite I should bite my tongue.
But I mean, it was his third wife. I don't know if he's gotten married again since then. Is he still dating Meg Ryan, or is that old news?
I don't know if he is or not.
They were dating for a minute.
Yeah, they were dating. I don't know if they are or not. I listened to his daughter's podcast, but she's never, the podcast I've listened to, she's never talked about Meg Ryan. Granted, they haven't listened to that many.
Okay. I didn't know his daughter had a podcast. But you know what? That's not surprising. Literally everyone has a podcast. Stallone's daughters have one too. Yeah. So captainRon was actually the number 7 movie at the theaters during this month. There's some really good ones. Sneakers, which I don't know. I've not seen that. It's like a spy movie. It's not about shoes.
I've never seen it. So it is a spy movie, and who's in it? Why am I thinking that Brad Pitt is in it?
I don't.
Yeah. Or Tommy Lee Jones?
You're thinking of something else. Yeah, maybe. I can't recall. But Honeymoon in Vegas.
Great movie. Love
Unforgiven.
Movie. Oh, Unforgiven's another good one.
Single white female.
Mm-hmm.
I adored this movie for some weird reason. It seemed so different at the time. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, this is something brand new. And I really liked that movie. Mm-hmm. Sinister.
Hints of Fatal Attraction in it.
Very much
except
so.
It was roommates. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was a good movie.
Sister Act.
That was a good one.
Which is really good. It's really good.
My grandparents had that tape. That was one that we felt safe watching at their house. Like, we knew that nothing was going to be embarrassing. We watched a lot of Sister Act at my grandparents' house.
I feel like we maybe had that one taped too. We had Single White Female taped, I'm pretty sure, as well. The Last of the Mohicans, which I remember being a big movie, but I don't recall a single thing about it.
I don't know if I ever watched it, but I remember I think he won, like, he always won an Academy Award. It didn't matter. He could be making about what dishes and he'd probably win. But Madeline Stowe, who was kind of a 90s actress, and then, the millennium hit and she faded off into the distance. But
then she came back with that Revenge show.
Oh,
Did you watch Revenge with her in it?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch that show?
I didn't watch that show. Oh,
well,
Madeline Stowe? Or are you thinking of the lady from Dances with Wolves? Maybe I'm wrong.
It was Madeline Stowe in Revenge as like the rich wife. I forget what her name is. Anyway, this next movie I recently rewatched because it's like Halloween-y. It's so good. Death Becomes Her. Do you remember that one, Shannon?
Who keeps calling? Helen and Mad and Hell.
It's our Meryl Streep and our Kurt
Goldie Hawn.
Russell's lovely lady, Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
It's so good.
I probably watched it at least once every 6 months. And that was when I saw it in the movie theater. I think my aunt took us to see it. But I actually saw that.
Oh, I didn't see it in the theater.
Oh, yeah. Great.
It's one of those where there's a lot would be lost on children, I feel like. It's a quick-witted one. Mm-hmm. And then A League of Their Own was a big movie release.
Oh, A League of Their Own. Yep. Love that movie, too. I love A League of Their Own. And actually, there was a TV show that they made into, or they made a TV show from the movie that was short-lived.
Of A League of Their Own? Sorry, I feel like there might be a touch of a delay. So then the last movie that was a big release for September of 92 is Pet Sematary 2.
Terrible movie.
I don't recall it. I liked the first one. Even though they're stupid.
It was awful. It was terrible. Edward Furlong. The only thing that was good about that movie was Edward Furlong. Before Edward Furlong hit the skid, he was in that movie.
He certainly was. Okay, I do have a few last questions for you before we jump into the movie, just to kind of get your impressions of Kurt and Patrick. So this season of Retromade is dedicated to who I call the ultimate everymen, both Kurt Russell and Patrick Swayze. Do you have any thoughts or fandom to share about either of them?
Growing up, I think that for me, Patrick Swayze was way more recognizable simply because I saw Dirty Dancing at the tender age of 8 or 9. And then Ghost, what was that, approximately 1990, maybe 91?
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't think I became aware of Kurt Russell as much. I think I knew who he was. You know, my folks would maybe have Big Trouble in Little China on. And
oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah, they might have that on. But when I saw Overboard in college, one of my friends on my floor, where we lived in Centennial Towers East, had that, and I borrowed it.
Ooh.
And I was like, what is this movie that I'm just now seeing? Kurt Russell is amazing in this movie, and he is every man in the movie. So since that time, I think that for me, it still remains Patrick Swayze, just because I have such ties to him from my childhood. Unfortunately, he was taken from us way too soon. Who knows what he might have done, now. But Kurt Russell, you don't really see him in anything. I think he was in a Tarantino movie, like The Hateful Eight or something like that. I could be wrong. But other than that, he probably doesn't have to work. So he's just like, I'm just going to enjoy.
No, he's in like a series. He's in like some series, but they're like, and he's in some of the Marvel movie, like he's in like Fast and Furious movie, like stuff that I wouldn't watch now. Like I have zero interest in the Fast and Furious 20 or he's in, I want to say it's like Monsters of the Something. It's on one of the streamers. It's a show that I would have zero interest in watching, but he is in that. Some Marvel.
And you said he's in Marvel too, which does not surprise me because his son, Wyatt, is like the new Captain America or something. They have Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier and the Falcon. He was in, his son was in. So
they're in this TV show together. It's gonna bother me now. It's like it starts with an M.
I think he's a great actor. I think comedic. A comedic actor. He's very funny. Again, captainRon and Overboard are the two movies that if somebody said Kurt Russell, that's what I think of.
Yep. Overboard, I can't, you missed out in your childhood not having seen that until college. No. But it's Monarch Legacy of the Monsters is the TV show. So
what's it on?
I have zero interest in that. Apple TV, maybe? Apple TV.
Okay. Interesting. Going back to your original question, Patrick Swayze will always hold a place in my heart for those movies. Roadhouse, that was another great one that Patrick Swayze, really good one. Oh my gosh, The Outsiders. Forgot about that. Probably one of his first movies.
Mm-hmm.
I really like The Outsiders. What else? Yeah. That's where I stand.
Yeah, Red Dawn, Tu Wong Fu.
Dawn.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what's kind of filled in between there. Yeah. Well, my next question is, I ask everyone this, do you think that Patrick Swayze and Kurt Russell look at all alike?
No. Do you?
Very much so. You're the first, probably one of the few. So I haven't had a lot of women on and it is one of those things. A lot of women very much think that they look alike. They have a similar like bone facial structure. They're both incredibly handsome, strong jawline, masculine. They're both everymen. Their hair is similar. I mean, not in Captain.Ron,
Yeah.
but
Maybe now that you're saying this and I'm picturing them both in my head, it's not a correlation I would have made if somebody hadn't, put it out there. But I guess you're right. Yeah. When you put them side by side, they could probably play brothers. Not now,
yes,
but-
that's what I want to happen. Like Dalton side by side with, what was Kurt's name in, Overboard?
Prophet. Dean Prophet.
Dean, yes. So Dalton and Dean. I want that
Okay.
movie. Please. Yes. Okay. Let's get into the movie. Captain.Ron. September 18th, 1992. It's PG-13. Now, it's an hour and 40 minutes, but I really thought it was way longer. It seemed...
I kept pausing.
Did you
to
think
see
so?
How much? Yeah. Like, I was like, when is this movie done? I kept pausing to see how much time was left. And when it said 45 minutes, I was like, really? What else are they... What other storyline can they drag into this? I mean, what is going to happen? I completely agree with you, Katie, that movie did drag on. Probably could have been an hour and got the same point.
Well,
across.
but that's why it's shocking. It was only an hour and 40 minutes apparently, but it seemed
really
so much longer than that.
It's
There
not
was
really
there
long.
was a lot packed into it. The IMDb rating was a 5.8. Our director here is Tom Eberhardt. He also directed Honey, I Blew Up the Kids and Without a Clue, and he was also one of the writers for Captain.Ron. The other writer is John Dwyer, known for this movie, and it's like a newer series, Confessions of a Serial Killer. The music, which I didn't take like special note of as I was watching it, as I sometimes do, it didn't blow me away. But it was Nicholas Pike, who is an English composer known for a lot of TV work, and the shows that he's known for will make sense that he was on Captain.Ron. So there was apparently a miniseries for the Shining miniseries, not the movie. Also, Tales from the Crypt.
Well, don't you remember we talked about going back to the Shining miniseries? I don't want to get too off track, but when we stayed at the hotel in Estes, the Stanley, that's where they shot the second one. The first one, the movie, was shot somewhere out in like New England, like Maine or something like. So the miniseries, which the guy from Wings, Steven Weber, Rebecca De Mornay were in it. They shot that one, and it was like this was an event in my life. That's why I know this. I loved it. I taped it. I was a senior in high school, watched it over and over. But that
I never saw it.
It's much more aligned with the book, because Stephen King, I think, had a lot more input, and he did a lot more with this. Like, they consulted him on it to make it more,
that's right,
comparative to the book versus the movie with Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall. But again, they shot it at the actual Stanley Hotel, which is much smaller in scale than the one that they shot the first one in. But yeah, I do recommend you watch it, because we were there. If you can remember when we went there, it was only a few years ago, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I remember that lobby, and I remember that ballroom, and I remember the bar that they showed us. Kind of cool.
Yeah, we did a tour of it and stayed there. We didn't get haunted though.
We
did not
friend.
stay in that special room.
No, but our friend, I won't name names to protect the innocent, but our friend, the other blonde.
Oh, yeah.
She swears up and down the shit.
Yeah, she does.
Footsteps or something above us. I'm like, we're in a hotel. Of course there's footsteps above us.
Yeah, there's people staying above us.
But, they're not convincing her. She had an otherworldly experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I had forgotten about that. God, it's a good thing that you're around sometimes because my memory is total shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
will have to watch that.
Yeah.
I know. I don't remember things. Also, Tales from the Crypt. He led the band on the Bonnie Hunt show. He did music videos for Michael Jackson's Ghost, You Rock My World, and some MC Hammer videos and Will Smith's Wild Wild West. So that kind of tells a story of like the type of music that he does. But so that's Nicholas Pike. We have our lovely everyman, Kurt Russell, in a very different role for him, playing CaptainRon. What did you think when you saw him? When you were introduced to him?
Yes, absolutely. This is a movie that I watched when I was 12. When it came out, I remember seeing it at my grandparents' house because they had a satellite dish. So I wasn't surprised by his appearance. In fact, I more so imagine him as, the long, dingy hair because that's who he played in Overboard. I don't know if I necessarily would think of him in any other way than the long, scruffy hair and the open shirt or the tank. Because those are the movies that I am familiar with. When you say, oh, this is a quite different role for him, that I find I can't consign myself to simply because these are the movies I've seen him in. I couldn't see him in a dramatic role. Oh, maybe Swing Time. I think he was in Swing Time, right? But anyway, when I first saw him, I thought he looked, they had him painted up a little red, too red, the makeup, like he's been
tanned, like sun.
Yeah. He looked like he was on fire internally. Like, it was just really red.
Oh my God. This is so very interesting, Shannon, because the reason you're right. So it's not his hair. He's wearing a really horrible wig. It's bad hair. And he has a dad bod. He's usually
dad bod.
Nicer looking, but every other movie that we've covered Kurt in, he's very handsome and I'm very attracted to him, but not. This is the first movie that I'm not attracted to him in.
Well, are the movies that you're comparing him to when he was younger? Because he's middle-aged in this movie. This is 1992, so he's got to be I would say late 30s, early 40s, right? So having a dad bod would not be, something that is surprising to me.
I mean, he's never been super, super buff. He's never been by that I mean cut. Like Swayze was cut, very, but I mean, we've covered things from literally 1980 to the most recent one, like Tango and Cash, Overboard, The Thing, Backdraft. I'm trying to think some other Kurt. I just covered Tombstone that at the time of this recording will have already been out. And he's, I guess I have no problem with him being middle-aged, especially at that time. I think a lot of guys, which sucks for us because they look better when they're middle, these really hunky, handsome Hollywood stars look good in their 40s and 50s a lot of the time. So he's and he's got those eyes. Kurt Russell and everything else he does is very handsome.
Well, in this movie, he has an eye, not the eyes.
Yeah. So anyway, that was what I took note of. I was like, oh, this is the first time I'm not jumping at Kurt Russell.
Yeah. And I've never seen him in a movie where he's been a sex object or a sex symbol. So it didn't surprise me. What surprised me was the makeup that they had on his chest. Like I said, he looked very red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's supposed to be sunbum.
He looked like he just walked out of bed.
Yeah. Martin Short plays Martin Harvey. And Mary Kay Place plays his wife. Say that a few times. Catherine Harvey. And everyone knows who she is.
Yeah.
Even if you can't like place her name, but she's known for like The Big Chill, being John Malkovich. And she was actually Emmy nominated for her long running guest role in Big Love. Did you ever see that show?
Yes. I think were we in our like early 20s when that show was on? It was about polygamy. Yeah, polygamy. And I did not know she was in that, but she was also in Sweet Home Alabama. She played a mother in that movie, very different looking kind of mother than she plays in this movie. Mm-hmm. And here's a fun that I knew about Mary Kay Place. She directed an episode of Friends.
Really? Yeah, good tidbit. I like that.
Yeah.
Just a one-off, huh?
Just a one-off episode. And it's it's a good episode. It's the List. It's season 2, the one where
Ross makes a list about the things wrong.
Yes, with Rachel and Julie.
Julie.
When he brings Julie home, yeah. And she directed that episode, which you don't like. That's just kind of out of left field, but whatever. It's a great episode. She did a good job.
Indeed. So then the kid in this, I love that this movie. It's a pretty small cast. Sometimes there's such a big cast of characters. It's hard to keep everybody straight, but this is short and sweet. Benjamin Salisbury plays the 11-year-old Ben Harvey. And this is pre The Nanny, but he's most known for playing Brighton in The Nanny. And I gotta say, this kid, I don't typically like kid actors. But he was really good in this.
Yeah.
Like, and kind of an adorable little,
doesn't overdo it, but isn't, stiff and, shouldn't be on screen. I agree with you. I thought he did a really good job. Fun character.
Indeed. Meadow Sisto. That doesn't sound right, but it is.
It's right.
She plays Carol, and she's the 16-year-old daughter, and she's well known. However, she is the sister of Jeremy Sisto.
Of Clueless fame.
Yes, of Clueless fame, yes.
Elton.
Shine Logrogno plays General Armando. He's not really well known. And then we have Paul Anka playing the yacht dealer. Did you?
Who that is? I'm looking at him and I'm like, who is that guy? That's Tall Paul. Paul Anka. Is Paul Anka still with us?
I didn't know he was. Oh, I'm not sure.
He was a crooner back in the day. Had some hits. Maybe not Tall Paul. Maybe the Shelley Fabre song "Tall Paul" or maybe Mitchell. Anyway, about him. But I know he was like famous, back in the 50s and 60s, right? Yeah.
He was. And actually, little piece of trivia, when the Harveys at the end of the movie, when they pull in, like they're about to pull into Miami and Paul Anka's there's one of the boats that is being stacked is called My Way, which was actually the name of Paul Anka's one of his biggest hits, sung by Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Among others. Yeah. Yep. Wow. So that's the cast. This movie lost money. Its budget was $24 million with a box office of $22.5 million. So that's rough.
Yeah.
Overall impressions, favorite scenes, memories watching. We'll start us off, Shannon.
Well, again, my palate when it comes to movies has changed since I was 12. It wasn't as sophisticated. So this is a movie that we watched over and over at my grandparents' house when it was on one of the show times. I remember that. When I was watching it again, there was some laugh out loud moments, specifically involving Martin Short's physical kind of slapstick comedy, where he would fall off the boat and make some sort of surprise sound. I did laugh out loud. For whatever reason, I thought him calling Captain Ron moron was very clever. So I laughed out loud at those scenes. I mean, I loved Martin Short. I remember his Saturday Night Live days. I remember him as at Grimley and other movies from the 80s and 90s that he was in. And now he's found renewed fame in Only Murders in the Building. And so I do like Martin Short a lot. I think he's just a very, very funny man. But again, the movie I was like, God, when is this movie going to end? It's so long. It's like the Titanic,
It's like half the film runtime, but yeah, it somehow felt long.
Come on, like a 2-box set, like the Titanic movie did. Again, there were laugh out loud parts, but is it something that I would watch over and over? No. I think that watching it for this show was probably the last time I will see that movie voluntarily.
Wow. I think I enjoyed it a little more. I actually don't recall. I know I have seen it before, but as we're well aware by now, Katie has a bad memory. So it was as if I was watching it again for the first time. I love that the opening part was set in Chicago. I love movies set in Chicago. Yeah. Just the whole premise is so like early 90s, like movie making, but I was in for it in that, like, can you imagine as either an 11-year-old or a 16-year-old, like a 45-day sailing adventure during the school year with your family?
And they didn't go home. That's the whole premise. I mean, I'm not trying to give the ending away, but they didn't go home.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. These kids were not being put back into school. And everybody lived happily ever after. But you said this is the quintessential 90s movie. I was thinking that exact same thing, like the rich aunt or uncle who nobody knew, didn't have any kids, leaves this adult person, either a house or a boat or some sort of fortune. That's the premise or setup of a lot of these 90s movies. And that's how this one starts off, is how he gets that boat.
Yes. And so there are the type of comedy that it is, there's a lot of like setups and quick payoffs. So at first, Martin is telling his wife about this and she's like, are you kidding? They're kind of stuffy people, like they're upper middle class, suburban Chicago, like they both have careers. And she's like, no. First of all, we'll be spontaneous when we have time. So that's like the type of people that they are. And then it's set up for us that nothing that anybody does or says will change my mind. In walks the 16-year-old daughter. I'm engaged. And then cut to, like that's the thing, cut to them in Saint Pomme de Terre, Saint Potato.
Saint Potato. Yep.
And the boat, so obviously it's not the picture that he received. It's like super run down. And over the course of their adventure, of course, they're fixing it up, polishing it up, making it look nice. And I don't think, obviously I don't know anything about boats, but it seems like it's two separate boats, even in the style of boat. Like the first one looked like a tugboat, not a sailboat. Did you have that thought at all? Like that the boats didn't even seem like the same type?
Absolutely. When she holds up the picture and she, of course, that's the comedic element. She's looking at the picture and then she's looking at the boat. And it's not, you're right. It looked like a tugboat. It looked like a tugboat that's seen better days. I think it's also important to mention that this boat was from the Clark Gable estate.
Good point.
So, and so that's why the family, this is going to be our money shot, so to speak. As soon as we can sell this boat and pay off debt and get out from under our house and things like that. So of course, again, the 90s comedy is that it's not a beautiful sailboat that they're going to be able to sell. It's a piece of jib.
It is. And I forgot to offer a reminder description for those of you who haven't seen this in 30 years. So I will quickly do that now. When Martin and Catherine Harvey and their two children, Carolyn and Ben inherit a yacht formerly owned by Clark Gable. They embark on a hilarious oceanic adventure sailing through the waters of the Caribbean with help from the dubious yet charming Captain Ron, who leads them into some outrageously wild situations. Their lives will never be the same again. So it's situation after situation after situation. And I think that's why it felt long.
Yes,
right?
A lot of, very situational comedy.
Mm-hmm. I do quite like, so Captain Ron, so like I said, I do appreciate the little payoffs that he does. And I appreciate that he allows himself, like he doesn't have an ego so big that he won't allow himself to be seen in a silly way. Like he doesn't look good. He wears a Speedo. Nobody looks good in a Speedo, everyone out there. No one looks good in a Speedo. I swear. But he's very quirky. He immediately meets the family and gives them a different nickname than what their name is. So Marty is Boss. Catherine is immediately Kitty. The daughter is somehow Babe. That must have been a thing. And the little boy is Swab, which is a sailor term, right?
Yes.
Like a low man on the totem pole.
Swap the deck. Yeah, it's in reference to you swap the deck here, yeah. But you said, one thing stood out. You said dubious character, and I think that was the intention. The director, writers to present Captain Ron as somebody that maybe can be trusted. I never got that during the movie. I find him to be very likable. I find Martin Short's character to be insecure and jealous, which is, part of the plot line. And that's why he is building up resentment and animosity towards Captain Ron. But I did not think at any point was he there to insert himself into this family unit as the father, as the captain of the ship, and was going to go home with the family. And, Martin, the father, could stay in St. Potato. So that's where I never found him to be a questionable character that anybody should be wary of. Just kind of
that's a really good point. He is, but he gets them lost. He doesn't it's questionable in the eyes of Martin, as he writes in his diary. So you're absolutely right. It's very in that way. Like, what about Bob? Like he gets
the unreliable narrator. Dr. Leo Marvin is an unreliable narrator because of how he feels about Bob. And you're very right that we're getting Martin's perspective. So it's somewhat unreliable.
Yes. But in a there's a series of mishaps that either shows Martin in a bad way or hurts Martin, but the rest of the family isn't seeing. They're more endeared each time to Captain Ron. So Martin is getting jealous, like, oh, he's in a Speedo standing behind his wife, like teaching her to drive the boat. And, the son, when they get to San Juan, it's like all of Captain Ron has rubbed off on Ben because he shows up to that carnival party and looking like a mini Ron. So I was like, this is very What About Bobby? But then what is quite lovely about the movie, it needed to be a little tighter, is that's paid off. Captain Ron does do the right thing in seeing that's what he was unintentionally doing. And then he helps Martin become the hero.
Absolutely.
In the end. So, yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. He does. Yeah. He helps his family and Martin to see himself. I think more so Martin to see himself in a different light. Maybe not his family, but Martin just is given the ability to be confident because Captain Ron allows him to be.
Yeah. Yes. And over the course, again, this is very typical of this type of a movie, but there's all these mishaps. It's not what they thought it was going to be. There's this wild and crazy guy. But over the course of their adventure, they do learn how to sail properly, which pays off momentarily when they have to get away from the pirates, or their ship is stolen. So Ron is right. He keeps saying like, oh, Pirates of the Caribbean. Martin's like, there's no such thing. Cut to their boat being stolen and they're on a raft. They end up in Cuba. So then their boat happens to also be there. So they steal it back. And Captain Ron helps them do that in a 57 Chevy, which was pretty awesome. I love the old cars from, in Cuba because of the embargo and stuff. But then Martin forgets to put oil in the boat, so the engine dies, and they actually have to get away, use their sailing skills. And at this time, Ron has faked an injury. He tells them that he broke his leg, so he can't help. Martin has to save the day, and he does. Meanwhile, he does, but also Ron does secretly call for help. He's like, Mayday, Mayday, to the Coast Guard.
That ending, speaking of, was very reminiscent of Overboard, with the Coast Guard coming and
Yes.
Pretty soon we'll see Goldilocks jumping overboard in her gold dress. Archer.
Arena. Yep.
There was some mirror images going on with that ending, but it did end. There was a payoff.
There was this is one of those movies. What was the other one? It's reminiscent. I want to say Backdraft, where the ending, it was like a series of endings, not just one ending, but it was like, oh, we thought we got the end. Oh, we thought we got the end. Oh, I might be thinking of the wrong movie, but I know I've covered another movie like that. So yeah, then there's this heartfelt goodbye to Captain Ron. He can finally come back to the U.S. because of the statute of limitations has expired for, whatever he has done in the U.S. up until then. And then he disappears. Then we see the family. Or no, first we see Captain Ron, right? Now he's with a new couple, right?
Very Miami-esque in his ponytail and his Miami Vice suit that he has on. Yeah. Within hours, he's embraced the Miami Vice, Miami vibe and has found this new couple. I mean, it's literally within hours.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't put it together that this is supposed to be the same day or if this is meant to be, I don't know. Either way, you're right. He's cleaned up. At least he's cleaned up his look. He doesn't have the eye patch anymore. He just has sunglasses. He looks nicer. But he starts in, it's kind of cute because we see him doing the same things that we saw him do when he first meets the Harvey family. The husband says something like, oh, Barbara, do you think we'll be able to do that one day? Captain Ron meets her and he's like, hey, Babs. So he immediately does the nickname again. Then the family, to your point earlier, they're pulling into Miami. And they're like, how about we don't? And so they're just continuing their adventure forever?
I guess so. Their children's education be damned. But also, they had jobs. I mean, I didn't get the sense.
And a house.
They got independently wealthy in the fact that part of the first scene of the movie is, oh, we can sell this boat and pay off the credit card bills and get out from under the second mortgage. So that gives me the impression that these are not people who have a nest egg and can live indefinitely on not working. And remote work is not a thing yet, audience. So spending time on a computer down below 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there was some inconsistencies in the ending, but whatever. It ended.
It's a great, to that point, I'm not usually like all in favor of a sequel, but it was a great movie ending. But I think what we needed was a sequel to this. Obviously it lost money, so that's why they didn't. But I'd really like to see what they're up to now, as well as Captain Ron. Do they somehow run into each other and get up to more adventure together? Like, I want to see what the 6 months later picture looks like.
maybe Captain Ron is being pursued by the Cuban militia, and now the Harvey family has to save him, and hijinks ensue. Absolutely, Katie. Well, there's our opening. There's our opening for
Start writing it, Shannon. Let's get this down. Hey, studio execs, remember that movie from 1992 that lost money? Well, we've got a sequel to it.
We are going to totally redeem all of you and make this the blockbuster that you anticipated.
Yep.
It's like if somebody wrote a sequel to Titanic.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but it was actually filmed in Puerto Rico and Chicago, and I do appreciate those touches. It's probably why it costs money. Like cost $24 million. But the film Captain Ron was not its original title. Originally, it was Martin Harvey Takes a Cruise, which is awful. So that's terrible. Then Don't Rock the Boat, which would have been okay. And then also On the Wanderer before it was finally released as Captain Ron. Mm-hmm.
They made the right choice.
I agree. Shannon, did you know that this was the third? This is it wasn't the third, one of 3 movies where Kurt Russell dons an eye patch. Were you aware of that?
I was not aware of that. What were the other 2?
Escape from New York, which is a pretty famous movie, and then its sequel. So that was from 1981, Escape from New York. And his character's name is Snake Plissken. He reprises his role as Snake Plissken in the sequel from 96, Escape from LA.
Now I do remember Captain Ron. Never saw them, but I do remember them. I did not know he wore an eye patch. And when you asked me earlier, like, what I thought about this movie, and I was talking about laugh out loud moments. The first time I laughed out loud in watching this movie again was when he's sleeping and he had moved the eye patch. So it's
yes. They think he's dead.
He's dead.
Because his glass eye.
But as a child, I remember thinking that the joke was that he slept with his eyes open. Not thinking about the glass eye. It was like he slept with his eyes open, and that's the joke,
No. Also, I did quite enjoy the shower scene that they get stuck in the shower.
That's a little bit racy. There was some nudity in, if you look close. There was some nudity.
There was nudity.
Yeah.
What's her face? Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? Is this PG or B? You said PG-13, so. And
PG-13.
It was not overt, but it was there. That was a funny scene, though, as well. Short does slapstick physical comedy pretty well. I think that goes back to his, Ed Grimley.
He does. And he was pretty big at this time, right? This was his, late 80s, early 90s. Was that Martin Short's time?
I think so. I mean, he wasn't on Saturday Night Live anymore. Because he did a stint on Saturday Night Live, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. But he also did a movie, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I think it's around this time, called Clifford. Have you ever seen that movie where he plays a 12-year-old boy?
Mm-mm.
I encourage you to watch it because it
sounds familiar. It sounds familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Charles Grodin is in it. He plays his uncle, and Mary Steenburgen is in it.
Oh, I like her.
Yeah. Again, one of those movies that when I was 11, 12, would have watched over and over. As an adult, I'm curious to see how I would react to it. So maybe I need to find that video cassette somewhere and fit into the VCR.
I bet it's not as great as you remember. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found fascinating, get this, according to John Dwyer, one of the movie's screenwriters, Martin Short was originally cast as Captain Ron, and Kurt Russell was supposed to play the family man. But, this is according to John Dwyer, Short and Russell got drunk one night and decided to switch roles. I don't know how true that is, but that's what John Dwyer said.
It would have
Wild.
been completely different movie because I don't feel like Martin Short has any sex appeal whatsoever. And that was part of the storyline of captainRon.
Yeah.
I feel a big part of the story. It would have been
She wants my manhood.
Yeah. Clarice or whatever her name is. It would have been a very different movie. And I know they would have really had to put out their acting chops to make people believe Martin Short was the stud and Kurt Russell was the mild-mannered suburbanite husband.
Yeah. Also, what we talked about on the show actually is, so Kurt Russell and John Carpenter, the director John Carpenter, they have one of those relationships like a De Niro Scorsese. You know, they do a lot of movies together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when Kurt Russell was cast to do this, apparently John Carpenter was nearly called in to direct because he really likes Kurt. But he admits that he would have said yes, but mostly just to shoot in the Caribbean. Like, he had no interest in making the movie other than that. But he did not direct.
Interesting. Again, a very different movie, I'm sure.
It would have been. I wonder, now I wonder
maybe
what that would
more
have been
action.
like.
Yeah, it could have been. There might have been more action in the movie.
Well, there was a lot of action. It was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I mean, when you finally got to the part where they were hijacked by the pirates or the gorillas, but I guess as far I just feel like maybe there would have been more chase scenes or things like that if Carpenter had directed it, but I could be wrong.
No, that's a good point. That, speaking of the gorillas, I freaking loved that. It's not gorillas, gorillas. Hey, stay on the path there. Watch out for the gorillas. There are no gorillas in the Caribbean. Okay.
He could have said freedom fighters, not gorillas.
Oh my God.
That was another.
Yeah. Lots of gags like that.
Yeah, gags. A lot of gags. Which I feel like Martin Short is known for.
Good point. Another little bit of trivia is, I don't know if I would have noticed it had I not read this in advance. So I'm curious if you did. There are 2 points in which captainRon is driving a car. He pulls up in that yellow car that ends up going into the ocean. And then when they're in Cuba and he's driving the red 57 Chevy, right?
Right.
Both of those cars have the left headlight out, which is the same eye that he has as a patch. Did you notice that?
No.
I did because I had read that in advance of watching the movie. But yeah, that was a nice little touch.
It is a nice touch. And maybe they wanted more people to notice it because in the little yellow car, there's no need for the lights to be on, the headlights, because he pulled up during the day. You know?
I should say it's like busted out. That's how we can see it. Okay. Yeah, it's like busted out. Yeah.
I didn't notice that. The little Easter eggs are always fun. You know?
I agree.
The significance, yeah.
Apparently, a lot of captainRon's personal wardrobe came from Kurt Russell's closet. And his like mannerisms at like being piratey, wearing the Speedo was suggested by Russell, which is kind of surprising to me, actually.
Really? Because again, I see him as a comedic actor who's kind of like goofy, you know?
I guess, but like his wardrobe, I just don't like, why would Kurt Russell have those clothes?
I mean, wait, he probably spends a lot of time just, if he doesn't have to dress up, he doesn't want to. One, and speaking of wardrobe, I wanted to mention, I really liked I hope this is his now that you're saying this, that Jamaican flag. The colors of the Jamaican flag, that hat that he wears at the
Rasta hat.
The Rasta hat, yeah. I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you said that, I'm like, oh, I hope that was his, because it really added what I feel is like a nice touch.
It did, and it's to your point about that. Good good point. That tells us everything. His appearance alone tells us everything we need to know about who this person is. Like at first sight of him.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think he and his wife or partner are a very laid back couple. They don't embrace like the Hollywood lifestyle and, just when they're not making movie, they're just mom and dad and grandpa and grandma.
Yeah, which is cool. I get that vibe from them also. And I feel like I say this a lot. I love that A, they're not married, and B, that she's something like 7 or 8 years older than he is, which is unusual, especially in Hollywood. But also it makes more sense that way because men die sooner, Yeah. So really, to maximize your time with a person, the woman should be older, right?
Yeah, that's good math. Good math.
Mm-hmm. You like that? Now that I'm getting older, I'm like, yeah. One of my favorite parts of trivia is who was considered in terms of like alternate casting. I thought this would have been hilarious. Tom Arnold was considered for the role of Captain Ron.
Again, lack of physical
sex appeal.
Sex appeal. Yeah.
But again, like I was not physically attracted to Captain Ron, like at all. But I see what you're saying. Like he was kind of a ladies' man.
Yeah, you had to believe it. Even if you weren't attracted to him, you had to believe that ladies were attracted to him because that was the whole point of Martin's insecurity. And, you had to believe that he was, But I couldn't see.
True. Yeah, he ultimately was passed over because at that time he didn't have a lot of movie acting experience and he had like a time commit. He was on the Roseanne show because he was married to Roseanne at the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff Bridges was also considered, but he had other commitments. It's very like Big Lebowski Jeff Bridges. So I could sort of see that a little bit.
And he did, comparing his character in the dude in the Big Lebowski and Kurt Russell's character in Captain Ron, there are similarities in those two individuals.
Yeah.
As far as their personality.
Very laid back.
Yeah, and their gestures and actions. So I could see that. I still think that Kurt Russell is more attractive than Jeff Bridges, but.
Oh, a bazillion times. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kurt Russell is very attractive ordinarily, just not as Captain Ron. Martin, do you have any guesses for who was considered to play Martin other than Martin Short? Can you think of other people kind of like him?
In the 90s?
Yeah.
The only person that's maybe coming to mind, and this is probably just my association because of their partnership now, would be Steve Martin. He was also, one.
He was one considered.
And maybe
he was one of them considered.
Interesting. And maybe Bill Murray, just because of the time and like the types of movies Bill Murray was doing at that time.
I can see why you say that, but he wasn't.
Okay.
Partially because he had like literally done What About Bob the year before.
Yeah, which
so
is
it's like kind of the same movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just he would just be playing he would be playing the straight man character. Yeah, Steve Martin. I can't think of anybody else. Who else am I missing?
So apparently it was originally written for Chevy Chase, which I can see. It's very Lampoons-esque in that way. But somebody who I think is very Martin Shorty is Rick Moranis.
Oh,
he was asked to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had too many other commitments and he went away. For those of you who maybe don't recall this, his wife died of cancer. So he kind of left Hollywood to raise his kids. So that's what he was doing at this time. And apparently they were on SCTV together, he and Martin Short.
Is that the Canadian?
Are they both Canadian?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's the Canadian Saturday Night Live. I know Martin Short is Canadian. I guess I didn't know that Rick Moranis was Canadian or performed in Canada.
Yeah, I kind of don't think I realized that either. Also considered Billy Crystal, John Candy, Richard Dreyfuss. And this one is one who John Ritter. was also considered. I think he would do a really good job. I can see him doing this.
I could see him doing this. Absolutely. I think John Candy would have been funny, but he also did. What was that one where they like get the summer rental or something? He's kind of that character, or summer house.
Oh,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, those were interesting choices. Now, does it say where you're getting this information if they turned it down, and they just landed on Martin Short? He's the one that raised his hand and said, "Sure, I'll do it. I'm not busy." Or if like they lined him up and said, "This guy right here," and then everybody went away. So the ones that didn't get picked, they're like, "Oh no!"
Went away sad. Well, they wanted. Chevy Chase turned it down because apparently it was originally written for him. Rick Moranis turned it down. So these are people who were offered. And then those others probably auditioned but didn't make it. Billy Crystal, Steve Martin, John Ritter, John Candy, and Richard Dreyfuss. Because Martin ultimately ended up with the role. Martin Short.
I bet that's what they're going to put on their tombstone. My biggest captain
captainRon. Yeah, after they see it, they're like, "Oh, phew, good thing I was passed over for that one." Now, let's see. I have not seen this movie. Have you seen Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery?
Yes, I have. Very good. Not as
good
as the Knives Out, the original, which I think is just a masterpiece. Glass Onion was pretty good. It's interesting. I like the characters.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I have heard similar things from other people, so that's why I haven't been like racing to see it. But Noah Sagan, he said that he cited the character of captainRon as an inspiration for his performance as Daryl in that film.
Interesting. I'm not sure.
Do you remember who Daryl is?
No,
and
not
it's
off the top of my head.
Derol.
Derol.
Mm-hmm.
I
haven't seen the movie, so I don't know the character. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's one of the main cast, but I'll go back and look. That's interesting. Well, it helps somebody.
Check it out now. Yeah, he was like, "Let me just do. No one's going to remember captainRon, so let me just do that." We're being a little hard on this. If you haven't seen it, I would say see it, but maybe don't buy it. I don't know. It's not one that you're going to revisit over and over again. But I will say I would love to leave all of my responsibilities behind and go sailing around the world forever. But unfortunately, it is a movie and not real life. So we must now return to present day reality. Shannon, thank you for joining me to relive 1992 and the wild ride of a movie. captainRon, do you have any closing thoughts about the movie?
No, just to echo what you said, Katie, we are being a little bit hard on it. But it is a movie that I do remember from my childhood, and I would recommend seeing it at least once, just for the nostalgia of the early 90s. And it is, for someone who is a sailor or has been sailing or is familiar with the terms of sailing, I think it would resonate. Some of the comedy in it would definitely come off as humorous and entertaining to someone who has been exposed to being on a boat or can get some of the idiosyncrasies and subtleties of sailing themselves. So yeah, absolutely. I say watch it at least once and maybe tell Katie your thoughts.
Yes, please do. And thank you all for listening or watching on YouTube. To Shannon's point, if you have thoughts, comments, feedback, etc., email me at RetromadePodcast@gmail.com. Comment on YouTube and head on over to the Retromade Podcast Facebook page. Until next time, be kind. Rewind.